What's up, it's Carter, and in this video I'm going to be talking about spark plugs, coils, and walking you through basic ignition systems. Just some basic background information for you guys at home. In this video we will be referencing distributorless systems found on modern vehicles. Developments to this system were first made in the early 1900s, with Cadillac being the first major manufacturer to adopt the design in 1912. The design was then made more popular by GM in the late 1980s and became standard on most modern vehicles around 1995. With these new systems, the vehicle's onboard computer is the one that controls the spark timing. This caused distributor systems to be phased out because of the ability to change spark timing on the fly. The main difference is that distributorless systems are controlled electronically with the vehicle's onboard computer, whereas distributor systems are controlled with a mechanical component such as the camshaft. The system works by sending voltage to a primary coil, which then induces a magnetic field into a secondary winding. Once ground is taken away from the system, the magnetic field collapses and a voltage spike is induced into the spark plugs, creating the spark. We decided to start testing with the 2017 Hyundai Tucson, as this is a divorce coil system and can be checked with an ohm meter. While inspecting the spark plugs, you can see a rust-colored stain on the porcelain. This is known as corona staining and is caused by static electricity buildup in the engine. The static electricity attracts oil particles and dirt debris trapped in the engine and attracts them to the porcelain not covered by the boot. When looking at spark plug gap specifications, you can see that the gap spec falls between 0.0394 and 0.0433 inches. When we test our spark plug with a gapping tool, you can see that the spark plug falls well within this range, and we can consider this in specification. In the case of the Hyundai Tucson, you can see that the manufacturer provides us with a spark plug resistance specification of 10 mega ohms or more, as well as testing steps and procedure to conduct this test. When we conduct our spark plug resistance test, you can see we get a reading of around 35 mega ohms. When you look at the wiring diagram for the coils on the Hyundai Tucson, you can see that it is a two-wired divorce coil system. This means that we are able to do an ohm meter resistance testing on both coils. When doing resistance testing on a divorce coil system, you can expect to see around 0.3 to 3 ohms on a primary coil side dependent on the manufacturer. For our Hyundai Tucson, our primary coil resistance is around 0.8 ohms. When we conduct our resistance test on the primary side of the coil, you can see that we get a reading of around 1.3 ohms. You can also expect to see anywhere from 5 to 20 kilo ohms dependent on the manufacturer on our secondary coil side. For our Hyundai Tucson, our coil resistance is around 5.9 kilo ohms. And when we complete our testing on the secondary coil side, you can see that we get a resistance just a little bit lower than spec at around 5.8 kilo ohms. Here I'm using a scan tool on the 2006 Toyota Corolla in order to show how you can check ignition timing with scan tool data. In order to provide the viewer with information regarding engine operation, I provided the engine operation temperature as well as engine speed while we conduct our tests. Utilizing the scan tool data, you can see how the vehicle changes ignition advance based on engine conditions. Here we can see how the scan tool reads data as the engine conditions change. When we run up the RPM, you can also see that the ignition advance degrees also increase. I also used the picoscope wand on the Chevy Equinox to look at the peaks created by the ignition system. As you can see from the picoscope data below, when testing with the picoscope wand at around 1000 RPM, you can see a waveform consistent with engine idle. When testing with the picoscope wand, you can see that the waveform frequency increases when engine idle also increases.